You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 39. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hi, friends, and welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and today I am beyond thrilled to introduce you to one of the most brilliant minds I have come in contact with. Mompreneur and Me founder, Forbes contributor, author, and the #1 voice for working moms, Christine Michelle Carter is joining me today. I've been following Christine for many years as a working mom and recently picked up her book, Mom AF, and knew that I had to ask her to be on the podcast. She's one of the most candid, honest, and refreshing women out there, and she is not afraid to voice her opinion about being a woman, a mom, a working mom, and a Black woman. She's truly incredible, and you will hear me gush over her because I genuinely admire this woman. We start off by chatting about being a working mom and the guilt that so often is associated with it. But then we navigate to what we can do as women to change the current state of our world. Christine offers amazing insight, and I'm honored to have her as a guest and now a friend in my life. Grab your wine because no topic is off limit. You are going to hear and learn so much about Christine Michelle Carter, and I know you are going to walk away feeling empowered and inspired. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Michelle. Awesome name.
Thank you. It felt a little differently, but
Yes.
It's all the same, right?
Yes, absolutely. My dumb parents named me after Mickey Mouse and changed the K to an H and the Y to an L. That's why it's like that.
That really makes no sense at all.
Exactly. Because my mother was obsessed with Mickey Mouse, but then my father was like, we can't name her Mickey. So
that is too funny. Oh my goodness. What a story. They thought I was a boy, and on the baby shower cake, it said, "Welcome, Gregory."
Oh my God.
And then I came out a girl, and they thought about Stephanie, but I have a half brother named Steven. And somebody told my mom, well, you know that Stephanie's the female version of Steven. And she's like, oh, then that's out. And somehow Michelle came to be.
That's funny.
Randomness.
Yes.
So as I was saying before we hit record, I have been a follower of yours. I love your content. I love your message. So please introduce yourself to everyone so they can get to know you too.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I am Christine Michelle Carter. I am an author and global marketing strategist. I educate brands and agencies and HR teams on how to attract and retain millennial moms and Black millennials as talent. I am the author of Can Mommy Go to Work, which is a children's book for working moms and their kids to teach them why it's important that moms work, and Mom AF, which is a humorous book not for children, just for moms. I'm also a senior contributor to Forbes and the associate editor of Modern Mom. And I started Mompreneur and Me 5 years ago, which is the nation's first free Mommy and Me professional development event. So pretty much I sit on my ass a lot.
You sure do. My goodness. And I know you're younger than me because you're a millennial, right?
Yeah.
And
I'll be 34 on the 14th.
Look at you. I feel so underaccomplished because I'll be 39 next month, and I'm like, I don't have a book. I don't have a networking thing. I haven't been in Forbes, but hey, give me time. I will be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I so enjoy everything. I've been reading Mom AF, and you are so open and honest and candid, and I truly enjoy it. It makes an easy read for me. And now that I get to actually talk to you kind of in person, I'm using air quotes, now I get to hear you actually reading to me. which is what I love. I when I read Marie Forleo's book, Everything's Figureoutable, like I could hear Marie actually speaking the words. And I just think it's so much better that way.
Yeah.
Can you, let's talk about the book for a minute, because
Okay.
what was it that made you think, I want to write this, I need to write this, and I'm going to be an open book for the world?
Yeah, so Mom AF was 3 years in the making, and it started off because I had to write a book. I felt like I had to write a book for my grandmother. And I really started digging into research about the parallels between my grandmother's generation, which is the silent generation, and millennials. And both of them experienced a lot of radical change. A lot of people think, oh, it's the 60s with the baby boomers. Not so much. And then just the two generations are just so close. I mean, a lot of millennials grew up with their grandparent. So I shopped that book around with a publisher and with my book agent for a while. And people wanted me to tweak things here and there. And then folks, would listen to, well, basically, I should say they would see my social media posts and be like, but you should really write something that's a little bit more with your tone of voice, a little bit more humorous and a little bit about your life. So I decided to go back to the drawing board. And then I really thought about everything that was going on with me and what could really resonate with women and how I could kind of just give them a little bit of empathy and let them see that I completely understand what they're going through, because I'm going through the same thing. So I've put in anxiety and divorce and infidelity in the book, and trying edibles in the book, and trying anal sex in the book, and raising a Black child in the book, and being a working mother and being in corporate America. And I just really ran the gamut with the book. And when it came time to send it to the publisher, they loved it, but wanted me to tone down the Blackness of it. And I just refused to do it. So at the last minute, I found an independent publisher to publish it. And my words weren't changed at all. And we just ran with it. And I'm so glad, because that's the first thing out of everybody's mouth is how candid it is and how much they love it, no matter what their race is, even if they're not a mother, how much they love it. So I'm really pleased with it. And I'm happy that it has touched a lot of women.
It totally has. And I can absolutely relate from, everybody not getting ready in the morning, even though it's the same damn routine every single day. And you're like, get it together.
Right.
Literally, before I jumped on this with you, I was giving the kids a bath because it's random. It's quarantine, 9 a.m. I'm like, let's have a bath right now. And them just stepping out of it, they're like, well, we're going to sit back in the bubbles after I've rinsed them off. I'm like,
right.
What is wrong with you? I just said, stand up, don't sit down.
Right. Exactly.
So when you're a mom, it doesn't matter what color you are.
It doesn't.
It's all the same,
Right.
Kids are kids and moms are moms, and we're juggling it all.
Right. And I just did I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I just did the Share the Mic Now, the hashtag Share the Mic Now, where I was taking over Rachel Bloom, who is Barb, the rocker in
the Trolls.
Trolls World Tour. And I saw a lot of different advocates spitting information and, just coming from a place of authority and taking action and being very rigid about the takeovers that they were doing. And I was like, I'm not doing that, because yes, I am an advocate for moms, but if I have the opportunity to share my voice on a white platform, I'm going to show that we're all the same, because that's what I'm teaching my kids. And that's what I want people to know, is that no matter what your race, yes, we are all the same. We are all moms, and the common enemy is our little shitheads. It's not us.
Oh, I don't even know which direction to go with that, because I love that you just said that, we are all the same, because I fully understand. And in all complete honesty, candidness, I didn't comprehend the whole Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, until I saw this really posts and explanations of, yes, all lives do matter, but we need to focus on Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And for me, I just had an interview yesterday she's one of my clients, and she's also Black. And I said, one of the issues that I struggled with is my 5-year-old does not see color right now. He sees shirt colors.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter to him what your race is. He's like, you got the purple shirt on, that's the purple guy. The end. And I like that. I
Yeah.
want him to see everyone as equal because we're all humans. And as moms, we are all moms. We're all trying our best. And when whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom, it's tough. And then you combine the two because I'm a stay-at-home working mom. Is that right?
Yeah.
I work from home and my kids
Right.
are home and we do not have childcare. So it is tough. Of course, nobody has childcare right now, so it's even tougher. It's like every whammy we could think of. How are you helping women know that it's okay to work, that you shouldn't feel guilt about wanting to have a career outside of your children?
Always in data, because I find that I've found the sweet spot with sharing information about working moms for brands and HR teams is the same as sharing it for women. My mission is to just show women that they are not alone. And the easiest way that I can do that is to quantify anything related to them. So that's why all of my articles for Forbes and different publications always tie back to some type of survey or some type of insights on the population, just to show that there are women out there struggling just like you who find their identity in their career and not in motherhood primarily, who want to be successful, but who also want to be good mothers. That's the struggle of work-life balance, right? We want to be successful at both at the same time. And unfortunately, we can't do that at the same time, but we can be successful at both. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a successful executive who is also a mother. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be an entrepreneur who also is a step parent, and wants a enriching personal life. There's a lot of data to support that a lot of women want those things and a lot of women are juggling those things. And that's pretty much how I just try to encourage a lot of my mom tribe.
And how do we get past that guilt or that pull of one way or another? Data is great, and I think part of doing it is finding a tribe and people like yourself that are saying do it. But how do you fight that guilt or that pull?
You accept it and move on. And I think that's something that people can't grasp. Like, we're, as mothers and women and millennials, we're control freaks, and we're always trying to control or expect an outcome or have a very clear cut answer to things. So search engines have ruined that for us. We can just search something and find an answer to it. But there does come a deeper level of understanding and just accepting something and moving on. And I still struggle with the guilt of being a mother in different aspects every day. Somebody once told me, you're a new mom every day, because I have an 8 and a 5-year-old, but I don't know what it means to parent an 8 and a 5-year-old. I've got a 7 and a 4-year-old down packed and a 6 and a 3-year-old. But every year I'm learning something new about parenting, which also subsequently means every year there's a new level of guilt that I'm experiencing over something. I just have to accept it and move on.
That's a great way to look at it. And when I think about it that way, I've step parented from 5 and 8 all the way up to now 18 and 21. But, it's different having your own children too. That's a whole another bag of worms, from the guilt side, from the parenting side. And of course, my kids are now 4 and 5. So I haven't gotten to that point yet where I was in the step parent world. So it's brand new once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the other things that I love that you do is you're working with companies. And I was so excited to see the Mom Project tagging you the other day on LinkedIn, because after I left the corporate world, I found the Mom Project. I think Allison's amazing. I love Colleen. We've chatted a few times. And so I love that they were tagging you. I'm like, yeah, and Christine's going to be on my podcast too. And for those who don't know what the Mom Project is, they are helping women who have been out of the workforce come back into the corporate world and are getting these jobs that are quite incredible. I know that they work with Facebook out here and other big corporations. So how do you work with these corporations and companies to tell them that, it's okay if you took a maternity leave? Like, we should be entitled to it.
Absolutely, you should. And just on that point, you should take the maternity leave and any maternal related benefits, because what happens is a vicious cycle, and employers think that their employees don't need those benefits due to low engagement, and then they get rid of them. So if anybody's listening, please use all the maternal benefits offered to you, so that companies change and have an accurate understanding of what it means to be a working mother today. But just insights like that, data to support it, is how I educate brands from a consumer marketing perspective on the size of the millennial moms, their impact, their spend, their reach, why you should listen to them, why you should choose to use authentic messaging with them, why diversity matters to that generation. And then from an HR perspective, all of the things that we're struggling with. I like to also include interviews from women and presentations for different companies, just so that they understand. And of course, there are some companies and some industries who get it more than others. Tech companies are some of my biggest clients, like Google, and they're always willing to hear what I have to say, and always willing to kind of pitch some ideas to me and get my thoughts. Other industries are a little bit more antiquated, but you'd be surprised at how many companies, especially because of COVID and post-COVID, are willing to have the conversation about moms. And I feel like Stuart Little, because I've been preaching this for years, and now all of a sudden people are realizing that the sky is falling. And I'm like, no shit, the sky was falling, you know? And then a couple of weeks ago, Black Lives Matter became such a huge deal. And it's like, no shit, I've been preaching equality for a long time.
Where have you all been?
2020 is a year of transformational shift for all of us. Okay. 2020 is going to get us one way or another. It's going to make us learn.
Yeah, it already has. And we're only not even halfway through.
Right?
Yeah, I cringe. This afternoon, there's a webinar on what our school district is going to do in the fall.
Jesus.
We have one starting kindergarten. I'm like, what's it going to look like?
Right.
And I told my husband, I go, well, at least we can now prepare.
Right.
Now we will know what will happen. I want to ask, how did you get into this? How did you become this voice and this trusted source?
I feel like it's just inherent. It's in my personality. I'm an INFJ, which is an advocate, and I have always been the person who was advocating. Like, I wrote about that for HuffPost. I was the kid who was making art projects that were, it was Afrocentric art, because I believed in the power of Black people. And I was the one who was standing up in my high school demanding that, why did we have to wear traditional girly dresses when I had classmates who were LGBTQ? Like, that's always been me. I've always been like, I want to advocate for everybody. I want equality for everybody. So when I got into consumer marketing, I just didn't I would take it personally when folks were talking about Generation Y, and I put that in quotes, and how Generation Y was coming to disrupt retail, and all of the different stereotypes that people had associated with Generation Y back when millennials was called Generation Y. So just over the years, as millennials started to go through different life stages, I became an advocate for them, just trying to clear up misconceptions. And motherhood is one that when I became a mother, that I just along with being Black, was just the two that I really took and ran with, because I was so fed up with the misconceptions and the jokes and the stereotypes and the unconscious biases that happen with those two demographics. So that's just what it was.
I love that you did something about it. I think there's so many of us who, and this is a big part of why Black Lives Matter, this is all, becoming revolutionized, is because we've all just sat back and, yeah, it might upset us, but we don't say anything. And you've taken action because you were fed up. You were done with it. And you said, I'm going to have a voice and I'm going to let it be heard. I love that.
Thank you.
And I think you have a brilliant mind. Reading your book and reading the part where in high school, the essay contest that you were applying for a $50,
yes,
prize, but that you sat down and you went, here's the prompt and I'm going to pull it apart. What are they looking for? Relate it to who is the influence in my life? Who's a Black influence? Who's a female Black person? And coming up with your aunt, but just the thought process around it, I found it amazing as a high schooler. I was like, I don't know if I would be doing that now. Yeah, yes, I would. Yeah, I'm going to give myself some credit. I'm 38, so I hope my thought process has evolved. But as a high schooler, I just thought, wow, this woman is smart.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. You have your shit together, and I absolutely love it. That's why I am a fan.
Thank you, Michelle.
A fan, and I want to be a friend. And
yes, and you are.
I just love it. It almost renders me speechless because I'm so impressed by everything that you do and you are, and I love just how open you are with everything. I think that's what the world needs more of.
Exactly. And that's just why I try to be so open and honest, is because I feel like that is what we need more of. I think that we need to step out of the stereotypes that people associate with us. Like, people in the office thinking that I'm a soccer mom. I make it very clear that I am so happy to be back in the office and away from my children. Are you kidding me? Or like I said, the whole experience with the Share the Mic Now takeover, everybody expected me to be this huge dominating activist, and I can support Black people without being that stereotype. But yeah, I just feel, and I draw so much. I really appreciate your kind words, because I do learn so much from every mother I meet and draw so much inspiration from every single mother I meet. And I really do try, whenever I hear a unique story, to figure out a way that I can incorporate it into an article, or how can I help this woman, because we already are battling so much against society. Like, the last thing I want to do is make a woman feel like she's not being heard.
I love that. I absolutely love it. And I love that. I want to bring up someone that you've worked with that I thought was it was also another one of those, holy cow, yes. You worked with Kamala Harris, who everybody knows was a presidential candidate. And, I don't know if I'm in San Jose. So I'm in the Bay Area, and, she's big here, and a Californian. And you worked with her on the Maternal Care Act. Right?
I did. I served as social media communication support for that.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It's, again, so impressive to me. I think Kamala is very impressive, as a female, as a Black female, an attorney, as representing all of us, and how far she has gone. And, to see her on a stage debating other candidates, it's empowering. It's awesome.
I think she'll be our vice president. I hope. One can.
That would be amazing. Yeah, it'd be pretty incredible to see her and Biden together after they fought.
Yeah.
But I think that Biden definitely needs someone like Kamala in his corner.
That was my recent Forbes article, Why Biden Needs Black Mothers. And I had the pleasure of interviewing Tiffany Grant. I believe that's her last name, just off the top of my head. But Tiffany Cross. I'm sorry. I interviewed Tiffany Cross for that piece, and that's exactly what she said, was that he needs some type of Black female VP. There's no way that he's going to win without a Black female VP.
Yeah. And I think if we even just look at like Michelle Obama and the impact that she's had as a first lady, I wish she was a VP too. Oh my goodness.
I wish she was president, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forget VP. I'm looking at, right now, that would be the option, I guess.
Right.
Unless we just vote him out. But let's not get too crazy with the way that things are looking right now, because we certainly need a change.
Yeah.
I would love her to be president. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Yeah. You make me cry. Like, that would be heaven on earth.
I know.
Mm-hmm. We need change in the world. And I think that as women, and even more so, women of color, need to be heard and represented to make these changes. We've got too many. The guy who's in office right now he's a train wreck that has wrecked.
I can't write enough horrible articles. I remember when he ran, and I wrote, Trump, no chance in hell with Black millennial women. And I stand by that. I mean, they didn't vote for him. So it's not like he had a chance in hell with us, and he still doesn't have a chance in hell. And now he is on Juneteenth holding a huge rally, which is
Yeah.
a very significant day. I'm holding a conference for mothers of the state of Black mothers in America on that day deliberately. And I'm sure he's holding a rally on that day deliberately. I have a lot of disdain for him because I feel like, I don't know, like you need a yin and yang in the earth. And I feel like when we share a birthday. So I feel like I definitely feel a connection to him for some reason. It's so weird. He's like, what is it? He's the Ben to my, he's the Kylo Ren to, what is the girl? I'm losing it now from Star Wars.
I know this because my daughter says that she's her. They play Star Wars all the time. Rey.
Rey, exactly. He's the Kylo Ren to my Rey. Exactly. So funny.
So what can we do? Like, what can we do? There's so much change that needs to happen now.
Yeah.
What's your advice on what we can all do as women, as mothers? How can we come together to make this change happen?
We are so good about making change happen. Historically, we've been so good about change happen. I love all of the just camaraderie and the collective voice of the fact that we're realizing that Black Lives Matter. It is, I hate to say it, it's on the men now. I think 2020 has really taught them how valuable women are in the world. When you think about the essential workers were predominantly female teachers and female folks in the hospitals and serving in critical care. And the fact that so many working moms were holding down the fort with the household responsibilities, men have got to realize how critical women are to our society and how we demand and deserve equality. We've done so much, short of just a massacre of men. What else do they expect us to do? It really falls on them at this point. I mean, I don't want to get too religious and divine, but God have put a freaking pandemic on the world to show, in my opinion, how important humanity and empathy are. And I can't imagine anybody being, more impactful than God on the situation.
Absolutely.
Like men have to realize how important we are, and it's up to them. They're the ones who need to step up, not us.
I completely agree. I love the way you put that. And, I think as I follow, one of the people I follow on Instagram is Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And because why wouldn't you? Everybody needs to laugh, right?
Yeah.
And he posted the other day that this is going to be the first time ever that he has voted.
Oh my gosh.
He has to. Yeah. He said that he's going to vote because we need Trump out of there. And this is the first time in his life that he is going to vote.
Wow.
And it blew me away. I'm like, are you serious? You haven't voted? Like,
yeah,
give me a freaking break. I've voted since I turned 18. I've instilled this in my stepkids. I'm like, you got to make the change. You can't complain about it unless you vote for it, Yeah.
But I can see it. I can see it because he comes from California where, there are certain pockets that feel really underrepresented and underserved. And I think about the example of Baltimore is where I'm from. It's the born and raised. It's the same way where there's just a lot of folks who don't vote and don't believe in it because they feel underserved and underrepresented at the local level. And then when you think about COVID in Chicago and all those teenagers, Black and white teenagers who were having a house party, but it was like 1,000 kids. And it's like, okay, well, they're in a part of Chicago that feels underrepresented by the police. They're distrustful. And we see that now, of course, of the police and of government. So why would they vote? But I think people are realizing now, as generations continue, the importance, and as generations become more enlightened, millennials were the same way. We're getting a little bit better with it. You get older and you want things for your family and you want things, you own things. So you're more invested in your community. So it's getting better. He's older now but I can definitely see it. I get it.
Yeah. But hopefully everybody, he's got a lot of followers. So hopefully those people, follow suit because nothing's going to change if we don't get out there and vote for it to change.
Yeah,
Plain and simple.
absolutely.
It couldn't be a crazier time to live in.
Really. With cicadas and the condom shortage I read today, I was like, okay, 2020,
Really?
this is, yes, exactly. A housing apocalypse. Oh, yeah, it's too much.
Last week I was talking on an interview and we were discussing all of what's going on. And I said, there's asteroids that are coming very close to the Earth. And she's like, well, maybe aliens or zombies are next. And literally that evening there was a fire in our hills and
Wow.
we were close to evacuating. And I emailed her right away and I go, we didn't discuss fire.
Right. Exactly.
What in the hell's going on?
It's like a Sharknado out there in the world now. It's crazy.
It is. Yeah. What's next? Who knows?
Right. That's all you can say is what is next.
Just be prepared. Yeah. Oh, Christine, I'm in love with you.
I'm in love with you. I could talk to you forever.
Next time you come out here to talk to these tech companies, we are going to have wine together.
Okay. I would love that.
Promise me that. Yeah, I would. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We'll take a selfie together and show you all that we've been together.
I would love that.
You are incredible and amazing. Can you please share with everyone where they can find you?
Sure. So they can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CMICHELCARTER and on Facebook and LinkedIn at just Christine Michelle Carter. And please connect with me, reach out. I love that.
She does, and she responds quickly. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I can't sing your praises enough.
Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for giving me a platform and allowing me to be on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you. Did I tell you or what? Christine is incredible. She brings a smile to my face just listening to everything she has to say. I loved her perspective on how we need to accept whatever guilt or imbalance we may feel as working moms and just push past it. I also loved hearing from such a strong woman that she isn't afraid to use her voice to let others know what is wrong in the world. And I truly, truly believe that you need to do the same. Now, more than ever, we need to start speaking up, and Christine Michelle Carter is one of the greatest examples of someone who is doing just that. Share with me how you're speaking up in the world right now, and remember not to be afraid to do it. You have something important to say, and I, for one, am listening. Until next week, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy.